Hey, welcome back to Handy Home Repair. This is John. I want to talk about the Graco Truecoat 360 spray gun. It's an airless spray gun. Some are battery powered, some are corded. I want to talk specifically about how to maintain the gun during the spraying process. We are currently priming this house. This primer is super thick. It's a Kills product. It is latex based, not oil based. Quick pro tip, you don't spray oil-based primer and expect to be able to spray latex over the top. It does not work. It does not stick. So I want to mention a few things. This primer is extremely thick. So being that it's latex, we're going to cut it with a little water. Not much, just to cover the top, just the top layer. Then we have to really agitate it, being careful not to come over the side of the bucket. Takes a quick, strong wrist helps. What we're looking for in the consistency here is once we have the water well mixed in with the primer, we want to see that stuff hit the top and kind of disappear. So you can see it kind of fades in. When it's just straight primer, it tends to stick around. You can almost write like a letter O and you'll see it stay. Here it just kind of fades out. So this is pretty close to the consistency we want. If you get it too watered down, it really starts to not cover the stains. And some stains bleed through no matter what you do if they're oil-based, so be aware of that. Once we get our primer to the consistency that we want, we're gonna pop the cup off the gun, set it aside. We're gonna take the lid off. They make these refillable cup inserts, which I always keep a spare with me. Typically, when you fill this thing with paint, you can choose to pop this piece in, leave this screwed, and strain your paint through here. However, I have found that when I'm working with primer, it's so thick that it either strains too slowly or does not strain at all. So make sure there's not too many pieces of big debris in here. The gun itself does have a strainer on the input here, so it'll pick up any of your large pieces of debris. I will fill this thing to the top. Keep in mind this is Kills primer, latex based. Once I'm at the top, I will put my lid back on my can. Cinch it down. Here's your vent. You always want the vent to point toward your adjusting nozzle. You lock it in. Turn that down. Pop your vent. Elevate it. Slowly squeeze until you hear the air stop coming out of the vent. See it rise to the top there, so I'm going to pop the cap on it. So I've expelled all my air. I need to prime the gun. Right here, my tip is pointed forward. I'm going to plug it in. And I'm going to squeeze the trigger for 15 seconds. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear the difference in the motor, but you hear the motor start to prime, and you hear the pump prime. So this is going to allow me to spray. So if this worked properly, I should have a nice spray. I can rotate the tip. This will give me coverage here. I can rotate it here and it'll give me coverage here. I've got the wide tip on. It sprays out, kind of fans. It's a wide fan. It's what you use for painting walls or priming walls. The narrow tip, which is right here, is what you would use to shoot trim, or if you want to do some detailed base painting. So the main reason I'm making this video is because we use this gun approximately 3 to 4 times a year. So every 3 months we're getting it out on a project, and we typically don't remember the ins and outs of the cleaning process. So the more you use this gun, the more valuable you realize it is. And it's important that it's spraying all the time, and it typically will clog up at some point. It'll let you down. So we have a process we go through every time we use this now, and I'm documenting on this video so I can use it, and I hope it brings value to you as well. Okay, so I've sprayed roughly half a cup through the gun and it started spitting and sputtering. There's a couple different things I need to check. A, have I lost my vacuum in my cup? So I pop this little seal, I squeeze it, until I hear it stop, then I pop it back on. So that's typically the biggest problem that you have if you're not spraying. That's typically number one. That's the first check. I flip it back to prime, I hold it down for 15 seconds, then I flip it back to spray. Should be good to go. If it's still spitting or not discharging, I'm going to flip this opposite, which is the clean the spray tip. So this will let a lot of fluid out. When you depress the trigger, this will send a lot of product out in a straight line. It's supposed to clear the tip. If that does not work, I take the gun apart, and here's that process. Flip it down, take the cup off. This is the best way to clean this gun and have it work. I'm going to pull off the screen. As you can see, this product's pretty thick. Going to take the screen and put it in my water. Now I have an air hose here. There I have a screen that's going to spray relatively Okay, now that we've cleaned our screen in the bucket of water and we've taken the compressed air and blown it out, it looks like it's in good shape. The next process to get this gun spraying correctly is to twist the tip to the side and pull it out. I always like to have the arrow down in the prime position. And we're going to be looking at a couple of different holes. There's one on the back here. You can see it's clogged. There's one on the front, and then there's the one on the bottom. So I have these little pick tools I have from the automotive business. So I'm just going to clean the tips. You can see. I'm going to put it in the bucket. All right, we'll shoot some air to that. Okay, so that's what you want to see. You want to see that hole in the back. You want to see your spray tip clear and nothing in the bottom. So now that we know that that's cleaned, we have a clean screen, we have a clean spray tip, and I always keep an extra spray tip on the table just in case I have to test with it. Although I like to use the wide spray on the big walls. There is one more step. Sometimes you'll get clogged from here to the tip. Keep in mind I don't have this gun plugged into the electrical. And you can't submerge the gun because this is an electric motor. So this part's typically pretty tough to wash. However, I will find from time to time, about every second or third cleaning, that I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's usually a paint clog that'll come out of this part of the gun. And it's always best if I pour some water down inside of it. Okay, so I'm not getting anything out of that. The next step would be to fill this container here with water, straight water, put it back in the gun, prime it for 15 seconds, put the screen back in it, put the tip back in it, prime it for 15 seconds, shoot it in the yard, you should be good to go. So I feel confident that these two things are gonna fix my particular spraying problem. I hope this video helped you, and we'll see you on the next one.